as you can see, there wasn't any sort of plan.
No.
It wasn't like I've sat down and written out, this will be my life, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty typical of people that I speak to that have been successful.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James Grigson. I'm here with Lachlan Creighton, the owner-operator of Anytime Fitness, Griffin, Kawana, Kalanga. Have I got them all?
You've got them all for the moment, mate. Yeah.
And we're at a beautiful property here in Bulimba. Lachie, thanks for coming out.
Mate, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Cheers. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. I wanted to take the viewers through your journey, because you had a very interesting journey. Basically, kind of from Gold Coast Titan Rugby League player to almost serial entrepreneur or serial business owner.
Yep.
So I actually want to step right back to the Gold Coast Titan days.
Okay.
And the want and the desire to be a rugby league player. And just at that moment where you went, oh, I think this personal training and gym owner and helping people is something that I want to do.
Yep.
Talk me through that switch of mindset from I want to be a professional rugby league player to now I want to be a gym owner.
It's funny, mate, because I don't think there was ever a point.
Yep.
It was just a progression.
Okay.
So how it worked out was I played rugby league all of my life, a little bit of union at high school though as well, but I was lucky enough to get picked up by the Gold Coast Titans when they were first doing their NYC under 20s program. Moved into the Gold Coast, straight out of school, literally the week of finishing school I was already training.
So you go from school to schoolies and then just stayed down in Gold Coast?
Well, actually, no, schoolies was during off-season.
Okay, right.
So I'd party till like 10 or 11 o'clock, go to bed because everyone else is still partying, get up at 5 and go to training, and then come back and start partying again for the week.
Okay.
So that was my schoolies. I loved it, but you know, obviously it was just a bit of, I had to juggle too, but I definitely wasn't ungrateful because I was there training with the big boys, which is really, it was an amazing experience because, you know, you've been around elite sport as well, but there's a big jump between playing at school or playing for a club and then going and playing professionally. It's a job. And it treats you, it teaches you a lot of discipline, teaches you a lot of attention to detail as well. I think that's been good things later in business. But again, I didn't, you know, they're not lessons that I was thinking, oh, I'll learn this for business down the track. So yeah, I did that from 2007 to 2010. So yeah, straight out of school, so I was about 20. And in that time period, there was a program the Titans ran called Earn and Learn, or the NRL. So you had to either be earning or learning while you're in the NYC.
The NRL does that as a whole?
Well, I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but it was a great program back then to make sure that if you were sort of a fringe player or if you're in the development sides, you'd have to be either earning, like going and getting a traineeship or an apprenticeship, or at uni. And I did a year, I think I just got a year done of a business degree at Griffith. And they're great people, great lecturers. I just, probably for me, I didn't feel like I was learning a lot that I was interested in. It seemed very theoretical, and I know you've been at uni as well, so I'm sure there's times you've thought that too, although you've stuck it out, you educated man, you. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. So I decided, I had an opportunity through OnFit, and those guys were great down on the Gold Coast. I got a little bit of help from the Titans as well, and put some money and time in myself, and I did a personal training course. Not for any of the reasons that you would think, like I want to be a PT, just to actually learn more about the body and help me train better for the following pre-season.
The move into PT was just more about a fascination in the body and continuing.
And I think like, a lot of the PTs I've spoken to, that's the reason that they make the move, and that's awesome because that's where it needs to start, that you need to be fascinated and in the movements. But I think later on I also got fascinated in the whole behavioural science type of stuff that I know have spoken about, and like why people do what they do, but that came later. At the time it was definitely like, how can I be a better athlete? So I figured that if I had to be doing something other than playing footy, why not learn how to train better, basically.
You were employed as a PT while?
No. So what happened, how it worked was that I was actually employed, I was a steel fixer for about 3 years for my dad's company. So I would do the PT at night, the PT course at night after training. So it was 3 years I packed a lot in.
Yep.
But basically towards the end of the second, third year, I started on Saturdays running park sessions from Hope Island up on the coast with a few friends, and got more interested in PT.
So sorry to take back, it was a day full of training in the morning, work,
so I'd
training, and then school?
Usually twice a day training. So I'd get up 4 o'clock in the morning, drive up to, so I was leaving at Coolangatta, training at Hope Island. So basically that was about an hour trip. Silly me to move all the way down. Beautiful part of the world though. And then train, go to work, work steel fixing most of the day, come back, train the afternoon, because it was a 2-a-day sesh most days of the week. And then I'd go to on-fit that evening.
Yeah, you packed a lot in.
Yeah. But I think that's, if you talk to a lot of people that run their own businesses, that's probably, if they didn't learn that starting their business, they're already doing stuff like that anyway. Yes. I had a good mate that was doing that and working nights in a bar, Saturday and Sunday nights too, basically. So you had started doing the PT, the group classes, Hope Island on the weekend. Yeah, and I really enjoyed that, and I didn't really think anything of it other than this is going to help me. So to do, if the viewers don't know, with Certificate 3 and 4, you do actually have to do a fair bit of practical work to basically get qualified. So there was a guy who was running a boot camp there as well that I was helping out with, and then I started another boot camp also on that Saturday morning to get my own practical skills up as well. And it's just like a come and pay as you go with some friends that I met down on the coast that wanted to get fit. So I did that for about probably almost 12 months. And then I got to the end of the 2010 and we didn't renew my contract with the Titans, and I didn't stay down there. And I moved back to Brisbane thinking, I actually bought a house because I saved a little bit of money, which was cool, thank you. Yeah, and all that work paid off. And I bought a place in Banyo on the north side of Brisbane, and I was going to go and play for Norths Devils in the Queensland Cup. And a friend of mine told me that the strength and conditioning coach for Norths was also the guy who owned MaxFit, where I met you. Yes. Yeah, and that little gym. Yeah, that little gym. Yeah. And I started training at MaxFit at the end of 2010. Along with Shane, Nathaniel, the guys that were working there at the time, and Nat, who I was working with, also played at Brothers Rugby Union. And I played rugby growing up, so that was a transition to, maybe I want to go and play for a team. And at the time, again, coming back to professional sport, it is very taxing, and it's a full-on job. And probably mentally I was a bit burnt out and a bit discouraged that it didn't work out as well. So I probably just wanted to go and have some fun again and re-find the love for footy, league or rugby. And just happened that it was a really good culture at Brothers at Albion, and it was not far away as well. So I did that. The other consideration was that I wanted to get into doing PT. So by this time I was like, I don't really want to keep working in the construction industry. I'm not overly passionate about it. And happened to be an Anytime Fitness opening up in Toombul, down at Nunda, just down the road. And met Rob, who was my first boss, and he gave me an opportunity to come in and start PTing at the end of that year, September. And basically within a month of buying a house, moving, I also started my own business and gave up the work on the construction sites. So you started your own business as a PT at Anytime. MaxFit. Yeah, and I started doing some hours, as well at the same time at MaxFit too, just to try and help me out because I was still building up my business at Nunda and Toombul. And as you know, since then I kept working with MaxFit, and I actually bought the business off Shane a couple of years later. You came along, started working for me. It's actually my first job. It was my first. Really? Yeah, wow. The first during university. That was my first employment. Was under you. Yeah. And had a lot of fun times with MaxFit as well. And backing up again, before you came along on the scene, my previous boss Rob McLachlan had the Toombul club, was really successful with the Toombul Anytime, and actually ended up selling it in 2012. And at the time, he had the territory rights to the Anytime Fitness site at Kalanga. and decided, because he had just started a pretty successful drop shipping business with wipes, so gym wipes, so like you wipe down the gym equipment. He decided he just wanted to keep doing that.
Right.
So he said, hey, here's an opportunity if you want to do it. I was 22 and probably not really ready, but he had faith in me.
We never are.
No, we're not.
Yeah.
And basically, the rest is history with any time. But also at the same time was also running a studio at MaxFit, so there was a bit going on. But again, I think as you can see, there wasn't any sort of plan.
No.
It wasn't like I've sat down and written out, this will be my life, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty typical of people that I speak to that have been successful, that they've never had they've had a goal, but they've never had a strict plan they have to follow to, and they just adapt as circumstances change.
What I see when I look at you is just work ethic getting you to the places that you eventually go, oh, that's actually a nice place to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it also gets you in trouble as well, because there's just more things that you've got to, more things you've got to do. I think I remember you saying this to me. You said, bite off more than you can chew and then keep chewing.
Chew harder.
That's the phrase that's always stuck with me. So would you attribute your, I guess, collection of, we'll call them assets, I guess, businesses to work ethic, or is there anything else during that time as a young kind of person, early 20s, where you were going, this is what actually...
Naivety.
Yeah, okay.
As, I think you've got to go into it with a bit of naivety as well, and that's good, because if I was not naive at the time, I would have probably been a bit overawed with what I was taking on, to be honest.
Yeah.
And definitely work ethic for sure. Like there was a lot of days there that I'd work probably upwards of 16 to 18 hours a day. Sleep at the gym some nights. So, that's hard, I think, and it's probably just timing too. I was probably fortunate that I got into it pretty young. So I didn't have a family, I didn't have wife and kids and stuff to consider.
You do now?
I do. I've just got married. Thank you, mate. Cheers. But I know even now that when I speak to people that are coming into the fitness industry, I've got a lot of respect for people, probably more so people that have got circumstances that they've got to really make hard choices to do something that they love and they want to do, irrespective of the family circumstances, and just have to make that work. But at the time it was just more hard work got me to where I was, but it wasn't, again, there was coming back to your very first point, was there a flip to I'm an athlete to I'm a business person? Probably not. The closest point in that period of time as well, when I came back to rugby, I got an opportunity to play in the extended playing squad for the Reds for about 12 months as well. And I probably had a chance. It was probably a point that I remember vividly where I was at training with the extended playing squad, and I also had the contract for Kalanga going through, the lease, going through all of that at 22. And I was, again, very naive going into it about how much there would be on my plate. And I remember being at Ballymore and going, crap, I don't know whether I can really do both. And that was really hard. And I think if you talk to athletes, and I find this as well when I talk to some people my age, that once we don't consider ourselves an athlete, or once we finish high-level sport, if you don't have anything else that you're passionate about, it's sometimes hard because your identity's tied up in that thing. So I think for me that was tough, because it was like I felt like I needed to do one or the other. And I think the reality is that I had to, if I really wanted to be successful at any time. And I think I'm looking back now, I'm very happy that I made that decision. But it was really hard at the time because I really loved footy.
So this might be a bit of a, I guess you'd probably never, I know you wouldn't think of yourself like this. But aside from maybe work ethic and then your words naivety, what do you think Rob saw in you as a young bloke? Led him to go, you know what?
Mate, not to pump your tyres too much up, but just very similar to, like, again, it was similar when you came to me. He thought I was a bit more mature than I actually was. I was only 19 when I started with Rob. He actually later said, if I knew that you were the age that you were, I probably wouldn't have given you the opportunity. And I know I said that to you as well. I know I told you, like, within a day or two, when you told me that you were 17, just don't tell the clients that.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what he said to me.
Right.
I think he saw somebody that he could trust to give 100%, which is the same as I saw in you, because it was important for him because it was his business. It was only him and I. So that was another, and I was also coachable. That was probably the other thing too. Yeah. He said, because he saw my background in sport, when I was talking to him about what I've done, he probably could see, like I saw in you, that I could teach this guy what to do and how I want it to be done. And he'd also have the intelligence to probably learn and grow from that too. So I think Rob probably hopefully picked that up, that I'd do okay, and I'd also probably lend a hand. And I actually ended up being his assistant manager. He mentored me through buying the business. Yep. So I was really fortunate that I was probably coachable, but I also had the coach.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, and I think that people say, you know, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah, okay.
I think that was true. Like I was ready to, you know, whether I believed it or not, I probably was coachable. Yep. And he saw something in me and he helped me get to where I was able to buy Kalanga. Yeah. But it doesn't come with without sacrifices, because like I said, I vividly remember that I basically had to decide, do I want to, and again, up to that point, I'd never made the decision, like I'd never written a business plan out, or my life plan out to go, at this age I'll buy a gym, at this I'll do that, do you know what I mean? So, but that's probably the closest to your question, was there a switch? That was the one point where I had to go, look, I really enjoy footy, but I really, really enjoyed helping people. Yep. And I could see that I could probably do more good in the business world. And my one goal opening Kalanga, Rob will tell you, it wasn't the biggest club, the Toombul club that we worked in. Yep. And I only helped 40 to 50 people a week. Okay. So my one thing to want to open Kalanga was I want to go to a slightly bigger gym and help more people. Yep. Instead of helping 50, I want to help hundreds. Yep. And I think that was more exciting than maybe pursuing a football career where I'd have to move around and I wouldn't necessarily have any sort of, not purpose, but it was a lot about me. Yep. Whereas I think that's about, I wanted to help people more. So yeah, again, I'm glad I did it. Yeah. You know, parallel universe, maybe I would have been a footy player or something, but I don't know whether if I had the choice to go back and change it, I wouldn't. Yeah,
Firstly, thanks for the compliments. Yeah. I'm certainly happy that you didn't change it. Yeah. What I think is interesting about your story is having to learn almost on the job. So you obviously had skills coming into being a PT. Yep. You had a little bit of knowledge of business from some studies at Griffith, but having to learn so rapidly outside of hours, I think that's something that a lot of people developing in their career and people that kind of might watch along are having to experience is going, geez, I've got this skill set, but I need to develop here, really fast. What did you have to say? To that?
I think don't think of the classroom just as a classroom. Think of life as a classroom. Yep. So life's a really good way. We can learn a lot of lessons through life if we're ready for it. Yep. I never knew how to negotiate a commercial lease until I went into business. Right. If you asked me that when I was a rugby player, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, no, I'd never be able to do that. But that's a natural evolution if you're just coachable and you're willing to probably back yourself a bit and believe and not be afraid to make mistakes. I think that was the thing. I didn't ever feel like I needed to be perfect. I know I talk to a lot of people that feel like they can't do something until it's perfect. Like I know we talked about, you know, your setup. Yeah. And I know I've even struggled with that myself sometimes, but I know that I want to do a podcast similar to this. Yeah. So I'll just start without maybe being perfect or without being ready 100%. But I know a lot of people don't start and don't take action until they feel like the plan's perfect.
Is there a balance though between knowledge and being ready?
There's definitely a place for knowledge, but I think a lot of people are smarter than they give themselves credit. Yep. And again, not to take away from academia, but there's a lot of value from just street smarts and learning on as you say, learning on the job, so to speak. Yeah. Being intuitive with people and situations and being ready to watch and listen and learn rather than just studying in a book or needing to have a diploma.
You and I think very similarly. I think that's why we get along. But I think maybe a word that comes to mind when you're saying, oh, this is being malleable. So being able to, firstly, you've got to be fearless, step into that situation, but then also be malleable to the situation and
not get too overcome by, I think I'm out of my depth here, just taking the risk and getting in and being flexible to the environment that you're in. And then also learning on the job.
No, I'd agree with that, mate. And I think even with hiring now as well in our industry, they've actually introduced, so you've got IQ, you've got obviously EQ, emotional intelligence, but adaptability as well. So adaptability, the ability to adapt, change, because our industry, in the fitness industry, is technology. There's so many changes that come so fast. So it's really important that they might start like you in a position like as a personal trainer, and then quickly that could change into we need this, that and the other that you're also able to do.
Well, you're just talking about a staff member before that might have to start doing a bit more video editing.
That's right, And who would have thought 5-10 years ago that someone in the gym, working in the gym, would need to be a digital marketer as well?
That's fascinating. So you bring up HR and hiring people now. That's, from our discussions, a large part of your day would be the HR and the marketing of those three businesses. Through the day-to-day.
Look, mate, the day-to-day definitely has changed. I was saying to somebody the other day that I started Anytime Fitness to train more people, and I only actually train almost nobody now.
Probably just Susan.
Susan, shout out to Susan, and Susan, my aunt Alison, actually. But both of them very long-term clients, and I do it just more because it helps me remember that I'm a trainer as well. But the majority of my day is about the team, about the direction of the businesses, and making sure that the team know that they need to stick in their lane. So what I mean by that is that if they're not quite sure about what's important, it's my job to help keep them in their lane, keep clear what they're supposed to be there to do.
Interesting. So obviously you're mentoring a lot of young people at the moment, and I think I can see your vision coming to fruition in a different way. Instead of you directly helping people, you're facilitating them to help.
That's right, mate. It's that's probably the thing that's the most rewarding now, and I'm conscious of that it's not about me anymore. It's about how many good people that I can have as part of my business that can help as many of the people in my communities where my gyms are at. So the better those people are, the better people they are as well. Not just trainers, the better they are as coaches. The better outcome they can get for the members of the club.
So of course you'd have a lot of advice for young PTs, obviously being their mentor at the moment, but just young people in general, trying to create a career in sport, whether it's a career as a professional athlete, a sports scientist, just in the health industry at all. What would be your advice for those people starting out?
Well, my first one would be humble and take feedback well. Don't take it personally. When people want to give you feedback, you don't have to agree with it all the time, but have an awareness that feedback's from you, for you. It's your experience on that person. That's what they're giving feedback on.
How do you take critical feedback?
How do I?
What do you do personally? How you said you don't have to agree.
You don't have
to verbalise that?
What I do is I just say, I really appreciate your opinion. And I might follow up to that to say, look, I actually don't agree with it 100%, but I really appreciate where you're coming from, and I can see that opinion. There's a reason probably behind why they gave that opinion, like without having context. So it's important that it's acknowledged. As long as I think with our business in the fitness industry, it's a perception industry in that people walk in and they can have there's 100 people that walk into our club, let's say, every day. And each one of those 100 people will have a different experience, a different filter. Because they're living in their own experience walking into our facility. And so that's what always interests me, is that it's not any one person has the same experience to any of those other 99. So feedback's always coming from their perspective, and that's their filter, and that's their reality. So it's important that I think that for feedback, that it's just when you get constructive or critical feedback of yourself, that it's recognised, that you don't brush it off and push it to the side because you don't believe in it too. Probably the other one was, don't be afraid to ask someone to be, I wouldn't say like a mentor, but just someone that you can ask advice of. Like a lot of the PTs, what I say to them is, who do you look up to in the industry? And they'll get their Instagram out and roll through and whatever. And I go, well, have you messaged them and said, hey, I'm an up and coming PT. I really love what you're doing. Would it be all right if I had a chat to you, like in this scenario on the phone, about how you got to where you got to? And that might spark something, it might not, but it might help to set up something where you can talk to them on a regular basis and ask them for advice. Because I think we probably look up to people and put people on a pedestal and don't think that they actually are willing to help and people.
Because I think if you frame it the right way as well, and people always want to, not to discredit people that give advice, but people often always want to talk about themselves. It's just kind of an innate human trait. So if you're giving compliments and saying, hey, look, I really like what you're doing, can you just tell me how you got here or what you did? Can we have a chat? I think 9 times out of 10 you're going to get a yes. Yeah,
and I again, credit to you. I'm sure there's lots of doors that this will open up. If you said to someone, hey, I'm doing a podcast, can I interview you? I'm sure there's plenty of doors that you would have never got through that this will help you get through too.
It's a compliment, right? Like you're complimenting somebody saying, hey, look, I like what you're doing. Let's chop it up a little bit.
And without needing to start a podcast, the same thing applies to just sending them a Facebook message or a, whatever, and just being genuine about it too, not having a hidden agenda. Just be straight and say, hey, I really want to get to where you are, but I want to know a bit more about what that's like. So I think that just don't put people on pedestals to the point where you feel like, you can't reach out and ask, and not something might come of it. They might say, look, it's not for me, I'm sorry, but you've got to ask, and if you don't, then you might never know.
Well, you're always going to be on zero, right?
Yeah.
If you don't ask,
that's right.
Zero.
That's right. But at the same time as well, only ask if you're willing to listen.
Yes.
And learn lessons from that as well. Don't waste their time if you're not genuinely interested in finding out what that person's experience is and their life lessons, and to be able to learn something from that. Otherwise, don't bother. If you're coachable, do it. If you don't think that you're going to get something from that person, then don't waste their time.
Was there anything else that you wanted to get off your chest? You and I could talk for hours.
We could,
to be frank.
We could, mate. No, look, congrats on the decision to make the podcast. It's cool. Thanks for everything you've done with me, mate, so far. It was a great experience in MaxFit, and I'm sure that's hopefully helped you do bigger, better things too.
Mate, you're the reason why I am where I am today. So there's a lot of gratitude from me to you, and I don't think I could ever really express it properly in words. So. All
right, well, a handshake's going to have to
do. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, dude. Cheers.
If you watched the whole video with Lachlan, firstly, you're a legend, and I could not recommend Anytime Fitness anymore as a facility. As someone who travels a lot, I love to know that there's a gym absolutely anywhere, and Lachlan as an individual is a tremendous bloke. If you liked that video with Lachlan, I think you'll enjoy this video that's sitting right about here. And if you click here, you'll see my interview with Paul Azzopardi from Swimming Australia. So I'll see you there.